Okay, next we're moving into, pretty quickly, we got to move into DEACON, Serpent with Feet. And cool that we're talking about this because me and you have been kind of hyping him up
Yeah.
as of late for absolutely good reason. Um, I remembered being really interested in him after listening to Soil in 2018, which I think at this point, 2018 was when I really started to get a better habit of picking up random things like this that were definitely very different, very artsy. I didn't really get it, but I was interested in like knowing more, understanding more about, you know, really alternative spaces of R&B music or, you know, just shit that I wasn't listening to. So I recall just like randomly picking this up. Who's Serpent with Feet? Interesting name. Okay, listen to these songs, and Soil is really like dark, spacey, and odd. Really just odd. You know, like it has really obviously has really interesting and beautiful vocals which grab you, but the space that he houses them in is avant-garde. That's kind of the phrase, the term I'm thinking of. It's definitely more avant-garde. It's not for like every day throw it on the aux cord type shit. It's really for the sake of what can you do with the music. And so I like that about him, and that kind of tells me that you know, when he does something like this with DEACON and kind of opens up the sound a little bit to something that I feel is definitely, I just think more people could gravitate to what's on here. Definitely still not for everybody, but it's beautiful. You know, I think if you are into Blood Orange, say, right, that this could really speak to you. Soil definitely still like plays in that realm, but this feels more like, you know, what a lot of people like from, you know, an album like Negro Swan or something like that. So that's kind of my history with Serpent with Feet. And then obviously hearing him do that song with Ty Dolla $ign really threw me for a loop based on just only having heard Soil. But, you know, now hearing what he's doing, it makes more sense. And I really appreciate the space that he appears to be in on this. So 11 songs, 29 minutes, pretty short, to the point. It feels a little bit more like an EP, I guess. But yeah, album cover, there's not really a lot to speak about on the album cover, but it's cute. It's nice.
Like it.
Yeah, definitely makes me, you know, get ready for the warm, lovey, enamored music that I'm going to hear on here. And the reason we were kind of hyping this album up was on the strength of its singles, Same Size Shoe, which we talked about pretty recently, and Fellowship, which we played at the beginning of the episode, which is super, super fucking catchy and great. It's got a little bit more popular music structure mixed in with exactly what he was doing in the past. It's just,
Right. And so, it was very good balance. Good way to listen to it. And then in the second listen, I was giving it a more like thorough, like kind of pointing at, picking out pieces that I especially liked. I was gonna say especially liked and maybe didn't like, but I really don't have that many moments that I wasn't a fan of.
Yeah, there was no point of this where I felt like I was listening to a less interesting part of the album.
Yeah, I think one thing that I want to give a lot of credit to Serpent with Feet for is that I feel like with an album like this, where it is kind of like, I think a really good stylistic choice in this album was to not stay too long on one idea. Like,
sure.
All these songs, I think the longest one is like just over 3.5 minutes. I think it would have been very easy, and that's the final track, which is a single, which is a really solid song.
Yeah, and same with Same Size Shoe, right? Full length song. Yeah, it makes sense why those are singles. But anyways, go on.
I just think that it was smart not to like spend too much time kind of like expanding on one particular moment and to kind of like filter through. I do think sometimes it is a little bit of a pitfall, like what you said about Malik, that it could have been longer, and I probably would have enjoyed that.
Yeah.
But I think overall, kind of keeping it to like sub 3-minute songs, even sub 2-minute songs on a lot of this, makes it a lot easier to kind of like get through. Because R&B albums for me are some of the a lot of times some of the toughest listens.
That's
purely
crazy.
because they just spend too much time hashing out one track, or like
one
two
ballad
tracks.
after another ballad after another. I get what you mean.
So that's why I enjoy stuff like Blood Orange so much, is because while the tracks are, you know, generally 4 minutes, whatever, there's so much going on. This kind of takes a separate approach where I'm just going to throw a lot of loose single ideas at you, and they're going to be short. And I enjoy that. I think that, you know, I don't know how long this is total. It's less than 30 minutes total. Like, I think that's a great length for a modern R&B album. Like,
hey, you know, this one's fire too, Amir.
Yeah, that like, and that's a little bit more, even more like,
it's got a straight up like hip hop rhythm. It's got like a hip hop R&B rhythm, which is, you would not find anything like that on Soil.
Right. With that like flamenco guitar sound, like,
yeah,
that's great.
You
I
know,
love that.
It's almost like, again, just going back to 2018, right, and hearing that project, I wouldn't have really assumed that he could or even would be really interested in doing songs that sound like this.
Yeah.
But the fact that he does, and that he's really kept still some of the avant-garde nature that makes him, and been able to still put out something like this. It's not a perfect project, but it does really enlighten me to like him as a musician and what he does, what his potential is, what he does to potentiate these songs, and how whenever the next project comes along, like, he can probably shift and morph and do something again. And if he wants to go more like, again, catchier or more, just applicable to wider ranges of people, that he can still maintain that thing about him that keeps him sounding unique, keeps him sounding artistically more interesting than a lot of people. As a singer, you know, I think he has a interesting voice and a good voice too. And so I think it all comes together for a great short project. I think you're right. I think the brevity of the project is a good thing. And I think you're right. If it's going to be longer song lengths and more full out songs, then it's got to be like a Blood Orange thing. Like I did that Cupid Deluxe review yesterday. It's got to be like that, where like every song is wrenching its fucking heart out, one. And two, musically, you can really, you know, put a lot of different things going in behind it, so that whenever I'm listening to this, like, the length of it doesn't drag on. There's always something to be listening to. There's good singing, there's good music playing, and whatnot. So, any other thoughts about Serpentwithfeet and Deacon?
No, I mean, I think that both these albums that we talked about today, I feel like they have already impressed me a lot, and I also have room for me to expand upon and be even more engaged with. And like, I don't know. I think 2021 has been kind of, maybe I haven't been so
I think it's gonna heat up
with the new releases.
I think it's gonna heat up.
I think it can really only get better, because I haven't been that super blown away by anything so far, and we're over a quarter of the year through, so I'm kind of like waiting for something to happen. But I will say, like, I think these two albums are kind of getting me more ready to like be excited again. Like, I do really like this Deacon project. I think it's, you know, I always expect one super impressive R&B album a year. Like, that's usually, I don't know if this is going to be it, but this is definitely like the most excited I've been for something in that genre.